And we started. Don't forget, we're broadcasting now. Look at the people pour in, Rishi. They love you.
I know. It's all for me.
They're going to be disappointed when they can't see you because your shirt matches with the couch.
Sometimes you have to go incognito.
So as people are pouring in, I just want to say hi to everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and having a good summer, given the circumstances that we're hiding under rocks and all that stuff. So I'm going to tell a little backstory while we're waiting for people. Since March, I've been using the same gross mask for going to stores and like going to like the grocery store and like all these places. And last week I got a new mask for the first time and oh my gosh, I look cool. It's blue. It makes my eyes pop.
Where is it?
It's in my car. I'm in the driveway outside. So yeah, I keep it in the car in case I have to go somewhere so I don't like forget to not have a mask or something.
Yeah, I got a new one. It makes me look like Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Dude, that's so cool, man.
I know.
Oh, thank you. Someone said happy birthday to me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Ed. What's up, Ed? So a couple of things while we're getting started and letting people join in. This will be recorded. Nick, who is our host of this webinar, you can't see him, but he's in the background. Nick's going to be cutting and editing this thing tonight, and it will be emailed out to all you guys tomorrow, hopefully by the end of the day. If not, you'll get it Monday. But there will be a recording. Rishi, do you want to talk about chat and using questions and stuff for Brooke?
Yeah, that's right. So if anyone has any questions, you could ask it in the Q&A section, or you could put it in the chat and Brooke will answer it. That's basically it. So if anyone has any questions anytime, just ask it away. So like, I'll ask you a question, Rishi. Yeah, go for it. How's your relationship with your dad? It's okay. Why do we have to go there? No, I just want to know, is that too personal? I mean, in Arizona in 1994, he went to go play video games. I haven't seen him since. So that's how it usually goes, right? For people that are new to B2B Tonight, what we do is we like to do a bit before we start the show, just to make it more entertaining and kind of get a little looser and stuff so that when we're interviewing Brooke, we can kind of be a little bit more informal and just ask stuff and have it be real. We're going to actually do a bit this week. I don't know a lot of people know this. Rishi used to do cold calling at Yex. Rishi, what was that job like? It was a lot of smiling and dialing. Yeah, that's kind of how it was set up. Back then, it wasn't as strategic on your outreach, right? No. So basically, it was inbound leads, and we just clicked in. And also, they didn't use Salesforce. They had their own internal system. So we just dialed in, called, talked to them if they picked up, and then moved on. Just kept moving. So Rishi decided to do something a little cool for this week for a little bit. You want to talk about it, Rishi? What'd you do? So Ryan asked me, he says, hey, I don't think you know much about business. Hence one of my shows called Rishi Doesn't Know S About Business. And he told me I need to start doing more cold calling and outreach. So I said, you know what? For a day, I'll do it. And I actually recorded it. Do you want to take a look at it, Ryan? Let's take a listen. Let's see how it is. What's up, everybody? I'm Rishi Mathur with LeadIQ. A lot of you may know me from sketches we do, such as Sales a Musical, The Drift Infomercial, and Sexy Time with B2B Tonight. But today, I'll be cold calling in quarantine. The first call is to a Mr. John Silver.
Long John Silver's, can I help you?
Hello, Mr. Silver?
Long John Silver's?
Yeah, is there John Silver here?
Yeah, this is the restaurant, Long John Silver's. Can I take your order?
Oh, okay. No, I'm good, man. I don't really like your place. Thank you. Bye. Hey, Frankie! What's up, Frank Meister? This is Rishi from LeadIQ. Got a second to talk?
No.
Nope. They hung up? Okay. Hey, Amir. This is Rishi from LeadIQ. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I noticed your team was on LinkedIn and is hiring sales reps.
Yep.
Which usually means that you're trying to grow your pipeline. Have you ever considered looking to LeadIQ to make them more productive?
I'm pretty sure we already are.
Huh, okay.
Is this a cold call? Do you know that we are...
You know what? I already knew you were a customer. This is just a courtesy call to find out how you're doing. No problem. I'll get you on a call with our support team. They can handle this much better than I can. Okay. Thank you. Bye. So you have limitation on your software security protocol with vendors, correct?
That is correct. I sent over some documentation.
Yep.
If you
real cool.
Take a look at
Yep. Cool. I can't hear you. Must be a tunnel or something. I can't really hear what you're saying.
Hear me now?
Okay. Yeah. Correct. And I found it.
Are we on the same page? Is something wrong?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Voicemail. Very important to leave one. Hey, Steve. This is Rishi from LeadIQ. I sent you an email the other day about your recent promotion and wanted to see if you're looking to simplify your rep's workflow with...
Rishi! Lunch!
I'm on a call!
Rishi! Did you hear me? Lunch!
Yeah, I'm not hungry. I'm on a call. Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. We're booked.
Sounds good. I'll see you Thursday, Lori. Yes. Thank you
good.
for your time.
Thank you for yours.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Bye. Yeah. Woo! I'm a savage. Yeah, hello? Hello? Hey, yeah, yep, Lori. Sorry about that. See you Thursday. Yep.
All right.
Oh, it went pretty well.
Rishi, I think I saw 2 meetings booked there. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I'm probably just a natural.
Oh, good for you, dude. Good for you. So this next guest probably doesn't need an introduction if you've seen her. I did a panel with her last year at one of the Outreach Road shows, and I literally wrote down in my phone after the panel, Brooke Bachesta, cool shit. And that's what I wrote because she had some really great stuff on building sequences and how to be a modern sales rep and stuff. And I thought, what better than to get Brooke on a show of B2B Tonight? So today, to answer all our questions about sequences and stuff, let's say hi to Brooke. I assume that's going to take a second to get her promoted in, but you'll see her in a second. It's going to be amazing. And here she is, coming live from, I believe you're in Washington State. What's up, Brooke?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, so we've got the masses here. The people are asking. They want to know about sequences a little bit. Brooke, tell people a little bit about your background if they don't know. Like, how'd you get involved in sales development?
So I got involved in sales development pretty much on accident, which I think is how a lot of people get into sales. I graduated college with a degree in English, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I applied to a bunch of jobs, got a call back from a sales position, and then fortunately landed an SDR position in the Bay Area, first job out of college, and decided that I really liked it. Very cool, input, output. It's very clear of like the harder you work, the more you get out of it. It's pretty process driven. You get to compete, but also be on a team. So anyways, fast forward a couple of years, worked my way up to an AE, then as a manager, and I've been at Outreach as a manager here for a little over 2 years. And I'm based here in the Seattle area, which normally is where our headquarters is, but COVID,
is it scary to run a team of prospectors when you're at a company that sells to prospectors? Like, is that kind of weird?
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword of like, we have a lot of tools and we get to use our own platform. And sometimes you run into situations where salespeople are like, okay, like I get the drill. I understand you're fresh out of school and you're making cold calls. And so there's some empathy there, but there's also, we are held to a high standard of like, if you are cold calling and selling software that helps you do that, you better be on your game. So on the positive side, it really helps us level up our team's professionalism.
By the way, Brooke, did you know this is a very special episode of B2B Night? I kind of want to make this note. Today is Ryan's birthday, and so this is a Ryan's birthday episode.
Oh my gosh! Happy birthday!
I'm 33 years old. Look at what I've accomplished and what I've become. So Brooke, let me ask you something. So you guys basically will go through and talk with people and cold call and cold email and stuff. How many sequences are your reps usually running?
Like how many do we have within Outreach, or how many would somebody have active at any given time?
I'm a little interested in both answers, actually.
Sure.
You set yourself up.
I know, that was dumb. So like in Outreach, there's hundreds, like probably 250 plus that exists that reps can use. And that's pared down from like back in the day when it was Wild West and people could just create their own sequences and clone things. And it got really out of hand and there's thousands. And David Plutchak, who's our content specialist, he's amazing. And he's gone through and cleaned out a bunch of those. And now we don't have any, like the only people who can create a sequence are, I think it actually might just be David. So there's one like source of content creation. And then an SDR, it's kind of dependent like per segment. So we have an SMB team, a mid-market team that I lead, and then an enterprise squad. And each of them probably have like 25-ish sequences that they might use. And then as far as like number of prospects that are active, like between 250 and 400, kind of depending on your segment. So like lower segment SMB folks might have a lot more, just because they have more accounts. And then bit less as you move up segment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. With your team, your reps obviously have named accounts they work, right, in mid-market?
Yeah. So when everybody starts, you get, roughly 250 named accounts, and then it's their job to go in there and find people on LinkedIn and then add them to their bucket.
Yeah. What happened? I think I remember talking to Andrew Mewborn about this a little bit. You guys actually have to like get a couple no's before you take a company off out, right? Like, because you might get influence and talk to a different department and get a bite there, right?
Oh yeah, we have been recycling accounts for years. So there are unless an entire company has like blacklisted us from reaching out, or like specifically said like, please don't ever call us again, it's very unlikely that an SDR wouldn't continue to try and research and build a relationship there and like get us in the door.
The good news is Rishi isn't on your team, so I don't think that probably happens that often. I've been trying to get Rishi to stop contacting me all the time, yet he's still here. Why are you on the Zoom, Rishi? How did this happen?
I like being on Zooms.
That's just your thing. You work on Zooms.
Nice. That's all it is.
So you guys are going through and reaching out to all these people. You got like 250 accounts or something. Is that like through the year, or when do you recycle the accounts? When do you reshuffle the accounts?
Yeah. So like ideally you wouldn't shuffle them a lot because it does take some time to like get your feet and claws into an account and like really understand what's going on there. But that being said, SDRs move a lot. Just internally, we'll move people up, like following the segments is kind of their career path as well. So you work your way up from smaller accounts to working larger ones. And I have new people on my team every single month. So there is kind of a natural recycling of if you get promoted off of emerging, a new hire will take your bucket of accounts, then you'll move on to work corporate accounts. And then we're constantly trying to add more accounts to our sales force so that things aren't getting stale. So like if I were to attach a number, I'd say you probably work the same accounts for like 6 months.
I talked to, do you know Justin Michael? He's on LinkedIn. He's like a SVP of sales at UV, or I'm saying his name wrong. He's going to judge me. Oh no, Justin's cool. Go follow him on LinkedIn. He's I was talking to him earlier today, and one of the things that he was mentioning on the podcast that we did was reps will go and use outreach, but they don't really use all the features of a sequence. Like for example, you might just use it for power emailing or power dialing or something. There's so many more steps that you can do in a sequence. What's the trigger at your company and what should most companies be doing to like make a sequence? Is it framed around like what makes a sequence? What's like, yeah, this is a sequence. Is it specifically something?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think like making a sequence, like the intent there, at least from my perspective, is to expand what you would normally do as a human to get in touch with somebody. Because there's a lot of other tools you can use out there. If you just wanted to make robodials, if you just wanted to blast out emails, but it's meant to replicate how, people actually get in touch. Like Ryan, if you and I were going to like hang out, and you didn't show up, I'd probably like text you and be like, or if we were planning, be like, hey, Ryan, like what's going on? I text you. And then cause I'm not a psycho, I'm not going to like robodial you 100 times in that day. Like I'll probably wait a week to get in touch with you. And then, as we move through time, the cadence of my reaching out will become more and more frequent to be like, oh my God, are you alive? Then I'll probably call Rishi, be like, what's going on? I haven't heard back.
He's dead.
Yeah, he hates you and doesn't want to hang out anymore. It's just him ghosting you.
Classic Rishi. Classic Rishi. I just want to have a catch with you, Rishi. So like, for example, at outreach, when you have a sequence that you make, are they usually like a specific type of industry or buyer or role, or like what's the breakdown?
Yeah, so I usually like to think of a sequence as like, this is your framework, like the skeleton. And we actually break ours out into like 4 different main types of sequences. And there's like multiple, there's LinkedIn, Sendoso, calls and emails, like texting built into all of these. But like the 4 main types would be automated, which is exactly what it sounds like, a call heavy one, which is almost entirely all calls, or only calls, like say somebody unsubscribed, or you have a rep who's just really strong on the phone and you want to juice some more dials in there. Then there's manual, which is like a Mad Lib style. Like if you follow Sam Nelson, Blue Hair Man from LinkedIn, and outreach, he talks a lot about his Agoji sequence, and it's kind of like JV personalizing. So the middle is already written, the ask is already written, but then it'll say like, insert your personalization here, and then like make it match that.
Can I ask you something specifically about that, not to ruin your flow?
Yeah.
we do that at LeadIQ. Everything we do here has to be personalized because that's what we teach people to do with prospecting. How do you physically do it? I try to do carrots and it disappears. I try to like put giant letters for the SDR to be like, use personalization to like remind them. What's the most effective way to get your SDR to actually do it? So they don't actually like send an email with like the text that says personalization or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think like if you put the little, at least in outreach, the squiggly brackets, 2 on each side, and then
squiggly like the tilde symbol. Is that what you mean?
No.
Like the one over the tab button? You're looking at your keyboard.
I'm literally looking at my keyboard. It's above the return button on a Mac. Shift.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, slash. The slash.
No, not the slash. Like squiggly. I feel so dumb. If I put
I know.
I'm
parentheses.
putting it in the chat.
The
squiggly
bracket. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Gabriella really stepped in.
What a hero! Gabrielle's the hero we need.
Yeah, seriously. But anyways, if you put squiggly brackets on the side and then the words inside don't match like first underscore name or prospect underscore name, and it just says like insert personalization here, it'll error message and it won't let you send it. So it'll save you from yourself.
That's a huge innovation that I did not know about. So everyone take that down if you're using sequencing and stuff. Use that symbol.
You can still override it if you're really stubborn about it, but it'll at least be like, are you sure you want to be here? Like
I actually read about a someone on LinkedIn posted that they had said something where they kept the dynamic field in and then they called people and used that as the cadence of their call. So like they would be like, oh, I accidentally sent this and like just completely like
that's kind of crafty. Did it work?
I don't think it worked. I think they just said that they did it.
Made them look silly.
So you'll make sequences for your team. For example, you guys are going after mid-market. Mm-hmm. What do you do? What do you do it by? Do you do it by industry or by role, or like what's the most?
Okay, so there's the 3 types that we just talked, like automated calls, manual, which is the template, and then personalized, which is totally just a blank slate. And then you might have one of those sequences for each persona. So for us, like our naming convention would be corporate, because that's the name of my segment, corporate, manual, sales leadership, corporate, manual, marketing. And all the first emails are very close to the same. The only difference in all those, like persona messaging, is like the bumps will be related to what that persona cares about. But the expectation is that you personalize the first email.
When you guys build these things, do you start with emailing or call, or like what's the thing you do first?
We start with an email and then follow up with a call like the same day, so that your email can be your script of, oh, I just got this person on the phone. Like, what am I talking about with them?
Is there a particular reason you guys start with email?
Yeah, it's mostly just to like force you have to personalize. And like if you're smiling and dialing, the first dial won't be in a sequence. You would have had to create a manual call task for that. So that an SDR, when you're rolling through your call tasks, if you ever get lost and you're like, wait, what am I supposed to talk to Ryan about? It'll be in your first touch to them.
Gotcha. One of the things that we do at our team, we'll make the first step of every sequence to look at the person's LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. And we'll write we'll make a LinkedIn say view profile, and then the notes, it says write 5 notes down about them that are common talking points. And the reason we do that is because when the rep gets to step 5 or 6 of the sequence, we don't want them wasting time going back to LinkedIn and rereading stuff and losing that step if they're doing a call or an email. And then what you do on our end is we'll if you do like a couple different touches of one talking point and it doesn't work, you have your next talking point ready to go and loaded, ready to talk about and stuff.
Clutch.
Do you guys do you use templates or just sequences for stuff? Like if you're using, or do you have isolated templates that a rep can use free will to like just punch in or something?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like if the sequence is your skeleton of like, okay, this is the persona that I'm reaching out to, then the template can act as your play. So the template might be like, we have a connection in common, or like you just hired somebody, or you just received funding, and then all those are pre-written and you just slot it into step 1 of like the personalized email, and then it just bumps it throughout. So
some ideas for people listening. Another thing you can do is build your sequences around different triggers that you find. So I actually did a webinar with science and outreach about using sequences with like buyer intent data and stuff. You could technically find, like, let's say you make a sequence for SDR managers that are hiring, and your trigger is that you saw that they were hiring or something. that becomes a whole framework for who you add to that sequence. And you reach out to those people like-minded. You don't really have to change a lot of the value props because the problems they're dealing with are the same. Scaling, hitting activity goals, prospecting, that's for us. But if you're listening to this and you're in HR, maybe you're looking at companies that are hiring recruiters, it probably means they're hiring. Or like hiring is always a good example for basic stuff, but like there's random triggers that you can do on that end. The other thing that's interesting that I think I remember hearing that you guys will do is you'll actually go and you'll verticalize some stuff too, right? Like what you look at like what industry someone's in. We don't do that yet. We should, but we don't.
Yeah, I think like there's so many, like we don't have teams that are set aside for vertical. So like people on my team could be calling anybody, regardless of the vertical that they're in. But there are some that we've seen a ton of success with. And like we have a lot of referrals there and it's very relationship based. Like sports is a really good example of that. Like the entertainment sports industry is very tight knit and there's a lot of name dropping works very well there. And so we wrote stuff specifically for them. But other than that, I think we'd probably just skew towards templates. Otherwise, as a new rep, we just run into like, it gets really confusing if you're like, what is the exact name for the sequence for this person? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the people that you have on your team are like these people coming out of college and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
or it's their first job in tech or something, right?
Yeah. And they might be a veteran because they've been at Outreach for 6 months, and then promoted on the mid-market or enterprise.
One of the things I think that people don't talk about is when you work at a company that's growing really fast, you can be there for a couple of months. And because you build headcount so quickly, you're like the person that's been through a lot because like there's so many more people. Like, I remember that used to happen when I was at Dine. Like there'd be people that would come in and it'd be like, we had 90 people. Then month later, we'd have 130. And the people that were there at the 90 mark that we hired are like the grizzled vet. And it's like, they've really only been there for a couple months.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's happening with me here. I'm like known as a relic. Like, who am I anymore?
Rishi, you're still not allowed to make eye contact with anyone at the office. Please look down.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, dude. You know what's funny is like your camera's like a little, your screen, you're looking at your screen, your camera's a little above, but it probably is going to look the whole episode like you're like not making eye contact and being shy.
I was told not to.
So Brooke, we talked a little bit about like starting with email. I like starting with email too, because if you do something really cool, especially if it's like one of those manual emails you're typing, you can bring up the thing that you did in your cold call, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's also good and you can refer back to it, right? Like if you say somebody never opened your email, I mean, I suppose you could just send them the same thing over again, but then at least you've got a record of like, what have I talked to with this person? Or like, what did I find? And there's probably ways to like recycle what you've found.
What do you guys do with social in it? Like, how do you fit social in your sequences?
See, we have a lot of like LinkedIn views, and like engaging with comments. We used to say like send a LinkedIn Sales Navigator message, use that as a pretty heavy part of our sequencing, but we just found that like, you know, you're limited, people don't always read them. You might as well just send an email and like try and find something they've posted and then like comment on it. So we skew to that a lot heavier. And we also have, there's a gal named Amy and she's our outbound sales coordinator, which is a job that we made up like last summer. And she's not quota carrying. She doesn't make calls. She's kind of like the behind the scenes stage manager. So she's working with marketing. She's working to like route anything that comes into 1-800-OUTREACH or sales@outreach.com or .io. Jeez. And route those to the right people.
Someday you'll get it. You know who owns the domain is Microsoft. Microsoft owns the domain.
Which is crazy. Outreach.com?
Yeah, and you guys, they're like one of your investors. I'm really surprised.
Yeah, I thought it was like a nonprofit thing because I have gone to it many times.
I've looked before because I was curious, like, why don't they have .com? It doesn't make any sense. Maybe they
got to be hip and tech started.
Yeah. It's a new trend. .io, baby.
.ly.
LeadIQ was a .io originally. So you have the sales coordinator.
Oh yeah,
they go
sorry,
through.
I got distracted. Yeah. And she actually goes through and follows influencers, so like Sam Nelson or Jeremy Donovan or Beck Holland, Lori Richardson, and just like stalks to see what they're posting and who's engaging. And then if there's a lot of people commenting on one thing, she'll grab the link to it and then input it into a custom field in Salesforce. It says like, hey, here's all the research I found. And then it'll queue up a task for the SDR to be like, yo, our super secret spy, Amy, has been looking around the internet and found this somehow related to your prospect.
So a little interesting thing you can do with LeadIQ. It doesn't fit for the structure for you because your team's like not, your reps individually aren't making sequences. But if you're on this and you're an SDR or AE and you want to make sequences yourself and your company is cool with that, one of the things that we'll do is we'll actually use LeadIQ, go to a post of someone that might be an influencer. Like, let's say we're doing let's say Kevin Dorsey, right? Let's say Kevin Dorsey does a post and you want to go prospect people that let's say you sell to sales and you want to go after people that like Kevin Dorsey. You probably have influencers in your space, by the way, if you're not in sales. There's marketing, there's all kinds of people that engage with those things and stuff too. You can actually open LeadIQ and go through the likes and capture them into a prospect list. And then that becomes, and then you filter through your ICP. Because like, for example, LeadIQ, we really want to work with people that are 200 to 2,000 employees. That's like our sweet spot for like awesome prospect. That's for taking time. Yeah. People that are lower than that, and you're all going to get emailed after this. So now you know what's going on. But the people that are on this that are under 200 will actually try and push you to self-sign up. And it's mainly because the people that are under 200, it's like Groundhog Day. The deals are the same over and over again. But once you get, anyway, point is, you grab everybody that liked it, save it to a prospect list, filter through based on company count and stuff. And then you could actually build a sequence around the topic that Kevin Dorsey was talking about. And that's kind of similar to what you're talking about, what Amy does. Yeah, it's not bad. And their response rate's really high because as a rep, you can actually editorialize your own opinion. Like I'd make it manual a little bit and be like, I think this about what Kevin Dorsey said. Because Kevin might say like, yo, like, don't send attachments in an email. And you might say, I've actually had some success sending attachments. Here's an example of one I've been sending to people. And you might say that in the cold email. Now you're giving value to the prospect while still being able to work that person. So like there's little things like that.
Having the opinion part is so clutch because a lot of times people will send emails with like this book report of like, here's all the things that I found. And I'm like, all right, well, what's it to you? Like, I want to hear what you think about these things. We can talk about it.
The thing that I think a lot of reps don't think about is like, your outreach reps, for example, are probably talking to more sales leaders on a regular day than the average bear. And think of all the cool stories they're collecting when they're on these calls with people, finding out about their situations. I'm literally like listening to everything you're telling and like just my head zooming, thinking about like what we need to go do now. Your reps are doing this every day with tons of other people at other companies with some, no offense to outreach, some with even bigger sales teams.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of exposure.
I'm offended on her end. No offense, Brooke. I got offended.
What'd you say, Rishi?
I said I'm offended. By the way, I just want to make an announcement that if people do have questions, just to remind them, Q&A and chat, you can ask it.
Yeah, don't be shy. Brooke will answer any question you want. Like I'm trying to figure out why
personal
am I here?
questions.
What's my purpose?
Yeah.
What have I done with my life at 33? No, just getting dark. So as we're going through, thank you for doing that, Rishi. I appreciate that. So what about so some of the SDRs will work marketing qualified leads. Like after this webinar, we'll probably put people in a sequence. What's the process like? How do you do that? Like, how's that set up? Is that you or is that the content marketing person you mentioned earlier? Like
it's a big team effort. So we actually have two teams at Outreach. We have an outbound SDR team, which is like 50 plus people. And then we have our inbound MDR, like market development reps, which is the team before. And then they don't own any accounts per se, but anytime a lead comes in that's under a certain threshold, like it's a smaller account that we wouldn't have a named SDR assigned to go like hunt, it gets queued up to them in a round robin fashion. And then there's all kinds of like automated sequences that they can run. And then on our side, since we're mostly outbound and like you have your book of business and then it's on you as the rep to go find people and like get them engaged. But let's say you have a prospect from one of your named accounts engage with a piece of content or request a demo. We do have a lot of several sequences written for that. So marketing has set up triggers with Marketo to like let us know when something receives enough points and becomes an MQL. And it should automatically trigger a task that says like, hey, they attended this. This is what put them over the line. Here's a suggested sequence that you might want to use. And the sequences are built around like, if it's a large enough webinar, like that might get its own sequence. If it's just like general content syndication, it would have a more generic sequence. And then if it's something really juicy, like a demo request, it's like red alert, automated email goes out to say like, hi, I'm your person. I'm going to get in touch with you in a second. And then several tasks get queued up for the SDR.
When you're using that automation, are reps calling right away when someone does that? So they send an automated email saying, hey, I'm going to reach out to you. And then it's a call. Is that what happens afterward?
Yeah, and they're usually pretty incentivized to get people. Oh, there's my dad.
I love the stutter stuff. Like he realized he's on camera.
I know. It was very sweet of him.
So you were saying they get incentivized to cold call someone.
Oh yeah, because obviously if they have a demo request, they're like, man, I want to get this person booked like today. So there are calls and emails built into that, but an SDR will usually put somebody like that on a hit list, which is like they'll star them in Outreach, or they'll make a spreadsheet that just says these are the people that I'm calling 3 times a day, every day for like the next month until I get a hold of them.
I know one of the things that we couldn't do for this episode is we wanted to get a little bit more data on some stuff, but it's kind of hard to do right now with everything. Do you know like what should be a benchmark for like a good sequence reply rate or response rate? Like what's the, like, do you have any, like, what's the bar at Outreach where like this sequence sucks, we're retiring it versus this sequence is working great? Like what's that bar? What do you know?
Like I know the Agoji sequence gets like a 4% reply rate, which is good. And I think if you're above like a 20 or 30% at least open rate, that means that like, okay, people like care enough to at least look at it. If it's, well, that's a good question on like retiring them. And I probably have to ask David, who like actually does all the A/B testing for sequences, but typically we let it run for like a full quarter before we make any decisions around like, okay, this sucks, or we need to make more of them. We just redid our Jillian Clancy, who's our SDR manager, and I have been like working on our get started sequence, which is basically someone raises their hand and says, I want to try LeadIQ. It's our sequence we use to reach out to people. Our response rates on the first one we did, which was like, she like did it really quickly just to get one done, was like in the mid 60s range for percentage, which is really good for inbound. I think. Yeah.
I don't know. Like the
that
thing it replaced,
good.
What we used to do is we used to just have someone come to the site and fill out a chili piper. But what was happening is, or chili pepper, not piper. Whoops. What was happening is when they'd fill out the calendar.
Piper? I think it is. I don't know.
It is Piper.
Oh, okay. I'm good.
It's not chili pepper.
Oh my gosh. This is what happens. The thing that really like kind of stunk though is we were basically taking up reps' time with calendars that weren't qualified yet. And so we came up with this idea of like, let's have them auto add to a sequence and have it so that reps come in the morning and they're ready to go. How quickly does a rep have to call a lead when it comes in? Like what's the bar where it's like, you're going to reach this lead, and if you don't, it's going to someone else?
Oh, I mean, like, automation is that they should at least get something in like 5 minutes.
I think Brooke's glitching on my end.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's all right. You'll be back. You'll be back in a second. Yeah. So I think you said 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, and like the automation should take over that, because it's something from a different time zone. You're not at your computer. Like that would suck to have that be the reason somebody never responded to you. But then if there's other steps that get queued up in there, like manual emails or like actual physical phone calls. And if they don't do that within a day, then they can lose the lead.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
and we have like go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I want to hear, go ahead.
We have like a pretty intensive spot auditing system where like they have the automation in Outreach. They should also get an email. Then we have 2 reports that we run Salesforce. One is for brand new leads and one is for working leads that you have not done anything with in a week. To be like, okay, like, did you just do the first email and then forget about it? Or like you actually doing your due diligence? And we have real MVP.
Wait, did Brooke cut out on my end, or?
Yeah. It's all right. Well, Brooke, we're losing you for a second.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
I'll speak for Brooke anyway. Rishi, I am terribly uncomfortable with you being in this meeting.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. You'll be back in a sec. Well, it'll stabilize in a second.
What if Ryan just does both sides of the conversation now?
So I'll say something while it's getting stable and stuff. Don't sweat it. It's cool, Brooke. This stuff happens. We're all working from home and
appreciate
stuff.
your patience.
By the way, Brooke, don't worry. I blame Nick for this, if that's any...
Yeah, Nick, our producer.
Sure.
Well, that's... Yeah. Thanks, Nick. So while that's happening and people are listening and stuff, you're back in a sec. I can tell right now. One topic I was thinking of going into and talking about is actually follow-up. How do you structure follow-up messaging? Listen, one of the most popular LinkedIn posts that you'll see over and over again is people being like, don't use the word follow-up, just following up. Don't say that stuff in post. Everyone says that. All these influencers, all these people that teach sales say that. Don't say just checking in. Like, don't waste text on that type of messaging. What's outreach do? Like, what are your customers doing? What's the insight you could offer? Like, what's actually a good follow-up thing to do?
Yeah. Well, I think thinking about the just checking in, we actually ran an experiment on this. I think it must have been like early of last summer. So like a long time ago, but it's under like Mark Costaglow's Sales Bro versus Sales Pro. And we found that
I saw that video. Yeah.
It actually, you actually get decent reply rates when you say just checking in, which is so counterintuitive to like everything that I've ever thought. So that was interesting. You can all just A/B test it if any of y'all are curious and have outreach. But for our follow-up, we have a couple things. So there's like the follow-up of like you had an opportunity and the opportunity died for whatever reason. We have a whole sequence called Pick Up the Conversation, which just prompts the SDR. It says like, find the notes of what happened in the last opportunity and say like, hi, Rishi, we spoke insert date last summer. You mentioned that this was a priority of yours. And then you have to find something new. Like, I see that you're hiring on LinkedIn again. So I wanted to reach out.
Yeah, for VP of marketing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, no.
What? That's really good, Rishi. That's good.
And then you would input that in there and then it bumps it a couple times. We also do like this thing called a reply follow-up or FEP FUP. Like if somebody just hasn't replied or they've opened a sequence or they've replied to you once and then they went dark, we basically treat it as net new prospecting and then like referencing that you've spoken before or that they've requested content in the past. We don't consider that as a good enough reason to actually bother somebody. So it's like, okay, that can be your like foot in the door, but you also have to have additional research on top. That makes sense.
Do you have it so that this is something I've always wanted to know? I do this when I was a prospector. I did this, but back in the day, outreach didn't exist. So like back then, it was like you're using like a Yesware or a Tout app or one of those like Cirrus Insight, and you just get little.
I was a big Tout user.
Yeah, like me too. And it would just give you like a little alert that like someone opened your email or something. Do you guys have it set up so that like, do you just call when that happens? Is that like what you do with your reps and does it work? Like, that's what that's what I used to do. Is it like the same thing with sequences too?
Yeah, 100%. Like they get the little notifications on the side of their screen that says so-and-so just opened your email. And they'll usually like, if they're not in a meeting, drop what they're doing to go call that person. Cause it usually means that they're not in a meeting, or if they are, I don't know, they're like running in between things. I would say at their desk, but everybody's at their desk all the time now. So,
what do you do with, so you call, what's the call like? What do you say? Hey, I saw you open my email. Well, you can, cause you're outreach, but like, because you're like, I saw you open the email. How'd you know? I was just outreach. Like you can do that. But if you're like not at your last job, what'd you guys do?
You would just like call and be like, hey, like, straight cold call. Like, hi, we haven't spoken before. I'm calling because of X, Y, and Z. And then you just like, you can keep that knowledge on the low that like you've been stalking their opens. But also, there's, we've done this a lot, like with our interns, because they're working, like we have 4 interns this summer and they don't have named accounts per se. They're just working a lot of our really small ones or like things that have previously been DQ'd. And since there's such a high volume, and we just want them to learn how to use the platform and like prioritize their time. They use a lot of automated sequences to like follow up on marketing leads or whatever. And so you can set up triggers to say like, if somebody opens this email more than 2 times, more than 5 times, automatically generate a call task or automatically generate a generic task that says, put this person in a more customized sequence, because they obviously care in some way, shape, or form about whatever it is you sent them.
I wish I don't, hopefully I'm not calling your product out. I wish you guys would automatically do that somehow. I don't know if
that would
can,
be sweet.
That should be like the next thing you do. Cause like it like another example would be like sequences in a lot of ways are almost like railroad tracks, and you're having someone go on a path, but like random stuff can happen during that. Like for example, opens the email, I call, there's no task to call. You could actually auto make a task like you'll go call this person, right?
Yeah. And there's also something to be said about like there's so much cool stuff that you can do like with the railroad track, like building the process, but it makes me so sad when I'm like, man, this is making my brand new SDR dumb, because they're like, it didn't tell me to do it, so I didn't call. And they're so attached to the process. So that would be cool to be like, hey, alert, this is happening. Like you might want to go do something, LinkedIn, message, text them.
When we were coming up as prospectors, we didn't have this stuff. You know what I mean? We basically just had a compose window and you'd have your phone on your Polycom phone on your desk and call.
Yes.
Right. So it's really different now. It's kind of crazy to think about.
It's true. I'm horrified to think of, I'm so sorry to all of my prospects that I just blasted with thousands of emails every single week to hit my email KPI.
We didn't know better. You know what I mean?
No.
Do you, so with that stuff, do you guys have activity goals every day?
We do. We're like, at least my methodology is like, look, you prove it to me that you can do it this way because we have a lot of data around it. And then once you're hitting your number, you can come up with your own creative, whatever specific Rishi output model. But when you start, we ask our reps to put 15 people into sequence every day.
15 new people, right? New people? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could have been like in the platform already, but just you're adding them to your personal pipeline. And then that can be a combination of automated and custom. We want them to skew really heavily towards like custom manual stuff and then supplement with automated. And then we ask them to make 60 dials every single day.
This is all coming together. It's crazy. So we've covered a lot of stuff. We covered what you should make your sequences out of, what the structure for follow-up, what order of operations you should do some stuff in. What about the other weird stuff like Sendoso, sending videos, LinkedIn voice message? Like, do you guys bake those into sequences, or do you kind of let free will happen with the SDR to go do that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we have all of those tools at their disposal. They can like go nuts if they want to supplement in a target prospect. But like Sendoso specifically, we have an initial meeting confirmation sequence. Like you work so hard to book these meetings. You want to make sure that they show up. And so as soon as you book somebody, you'll put them into this 4-step sequence and then time it to send out. The first step is an email that just says confirmation of like, here's the Zoom link. Here's my account executive. They're copied on this email. We'll see you tomorrow noon. That stuff. You time that up day before your meeting. Then it'll also remind you to call, and then it'll send out something from Send, like a $5 gift card. Then the day of, it reminds you again. I guess it's 5 steps. It'll remind you to listen, and then an automated email goes, "Hey, I just sent you something yesterday. Let me know if you didn't get it." So we use that for that, or Sendoso for those. For video, I don't like. It's not a huge part of our outbound strategy, just because it can be really distracting for new reps because it's a new, fun and shiny thing to do. And if you're not already, if you already have a huge pipeline of like hundreds of prospects moving, it would be very easy for a net new hire to be like, I'm going to spend all my time making videos. And today I made 3 awesome videos and I called nobody, which no hate to VideoR because it is really effective when it works. So like, I don't want my brand new person spending all their time there. So
I got a little bit of a hot take on that actually.
Yeah.
So it's not a hot take or a shot at you. I just a little thing.
Oh, but quickly, Ryan, we have like 4 minutes, so this is the last call for questions.
Okay, if people are going to ask questions, the peanut Garia here, you should get it in. I'll add my hot take while we're waiting for that. I actually kind of think that if you're doing video correctly, you should be able to do a video faster than you can write a cold email, or I guess you can call faster. But you know what I mean? Like I think in a lot of ways, like people overthink video too much. They like try to like make it either structured like a cold email, or they do three takes or something. You just got to record and go for it. You know what I mean? It's like dropping it on a skateboard. You can't like half lean back. You got to go all in on it. So like one thing that we used to do when I was running the SDR team here is we actually used to do like video call blitzes, and it basically would just be make videos. Cool. And one of the rules we had is that you couldn't do more than one take. If you screwed up, you had to keep going no matter what, because it's just like you leave a voicemail. That's the problem. These new reps, they're like, oh, I stumbled a little. I'm gonna, and it's not like, no, you don't have to do that. Just get something out there and be human. And the other cool part is if you're working from home right now, there's things around you. Like I could hold this captain's lamp that I got recently. I'm gonna break it probably. Oh my God, it's way heavier than I thought it was. But I could hold this and be like, hello, come with me if you want to do sequences. And like, I probably would.
That's half your size. It's a gigantic lamp. What?
Everyone just saw how pathetically weak I am. I couldn't even lift that.
It's a really big lamp.
but But it's an authentic captain's lab. But you can just grab stuff around your house and do interesting stuff in videos to show that you have personality and do it quick. Don't even think about it and just go.
I like that. Yeah, very true.
You used to battle sea monsters with that. I'm sorry. It's just
you could even like record yourself doing that and then send it to them, and then like a week later use the same video and then just bump it in a reply fup, and now you get like a twofer.
Yeah. Or you could, one of the ones that Jeremy does on our team, Jeremy will see if someone opens his email and doesn't respond or views his LinkedIn profile, he'll send a video of him dancing to Rockwell's Someone's Watching Me. And he'll send it. He gets like crazy reply rates doing it. Like you can have some fun with this stuff with sequences too. Like mess around with some stuff. But I think one of the things that sucks is a lot of these companies, they'll jump into sequencing and they like forget that like sales is also about like showing that you're extraordinary. And having personality and stuff. So like that's a big part of it. You like some of the reps at Outreach are awesome people. Like I met them. I know a bunch of them. Literally, you guys hired one of my interns.
I know Isabel. She's the best.
Yeah.
Is she on your team? She's a senior now. She's promoted.
Whoa, is she on your team?
Not anymore. No. But she is our East Coast corporate senior SDR.
Whoa. She's gonna be walking around with a walker pretty soon.
Yeah.
Bad joke. Rishi's cringing. So Brooke, this has been super useful and super helpful. What do you want people to do if you're listening to this and you don't use any of this tech? Go talk to Brooke. Is that what we should do?
Come find me on LinkedIn. Always down to chat, talk shop about what you're doing, or if you just want to like chat about outreach or general SDR life. My name.
Brooke, your title is your email, so people just email you from that, right?
That's right. Yeah, or you can email me direct, or I'm the only Brooke Bachesta that I know of on LinkedIn. So, come find me, and we'll have a good chat.
I'm gonna do something that's evil. I'm really sorry, everyone, but I'm gonna do this. I'm not making this up. If you are a LeadIQ customer and you are not using our outreach integration, you are insane. I'm insulting you. You're like Rishi, or like you really, you don't be like Rishi. Rishi's not using our outreach integration. You can look at a profile on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator or a LinkedIn search, and you can literally capture people and handpick what sequence you want to add them to. And it's magical. It comes in with fully enriched contact data, and you can just go add. If Brooke wants people to add 15 prospects a day, they could do that in one click and not even blink an eye, and then get to selling. That's what we're really trying to do and make it a lot easier for you. So I highly recommend you check it out and hang out with that. If you want to learn more, hit back the SDRs that are going to reach out to you. We have a question. Do we have a question?
Appreciate the hype.
I'm up. Plans on doing that with SalesLoft. Okay.
I don't want to talk about SalesLoft with
you can't. It's fine.
We do that with SalesLoft too. You actually can do it with SalesLoft. If you want a demo or you want to hit us up after, you literally direct message me on LinkedIn. I'll set you up with it. We love everybody. Everybody's cool. Not getting in the middle. But like I will tell you the people in this space are really trying to improve sales. So it's great. Brooke, anything else you want to add? You want to say anything to Rishi?
Thank you both, all three of you actually, for hosting me today. This is super fun. And seriously, I love chatting with other SDR leaders. So if you ever want to talk about what's going on or compare notes about dealing with COVID, keeping your team motivated, all that jazz, I would love to talk to you.
All right. That means send her jazz videos on LinkedIn.
Oh, please do.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brooke. Rishi, thank you for doing the bit. And everyone else, thank you. Please be nice to our SDRs when they reach out to you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Bye. Everyone.
Bye.